Um, Good afternoon. I'm back. Chapter one discussion about international trade. Uh, Last session, I introduced to you about businesses involved in international trade, and also I illustrated to you some examples. A certain person by the name of Julie Valentine, and which life is also touched by international business. So this session, we will devote our time on the key concepts of international business and trade. And as usual, let me share to you my PowerPoint presentation. Units. Okay, on your screen, you will see the key concepts in international business, right? So the first term that you're going to encounter on the screen, wait lang, papalakihin ko lang siya. I don't think, yes, okay. The first concept that you're going to see is the term international business. When you say international business, this is a business wherein the performance of trade and business activities is done across national borders. So, hindi lang siya nakalimit sa isang location, but it even extends across national borders. And that is international. Pag ang negosyo mo ay lumagpas sa Pilipinas, supposing you have a, a business here in the Philippines, and then you get to expand outside the Philippines, then you're doing international business because the as per definition, performance of trade and business investment activities across national borders. So that is international business. Another concept of international business is globalization. The term globalization of markets, meaning there is an ongoing economic integration and growing interdependency of countries worldwide. So ganito yan. Globalization is one step higher. If international business is, supposing you have your business here in the Philippines and you go outside, you operate outside the country, and then you get level one. Level one is international business. And level two is globalization of markets. Okay. When a firm globalizes, that means uh, globalizes its market or globalization of market. The There is an ongoing economic integration and growing interdependencies of countries worldwide. Ganito ang example niyan. Supposing si Facebook, kung dati limited siya sa US, ang mga labor niya, mga laborers niya are purely American. And then since the demand is so strong, napilitan si Facebook na mag-expand worldwide and nag-outsource na siya ng labor from other countries. example, the Philippines, no? Medyo kailangan niyang mag-set up ng, ng lugar dito sa Pilipinas, ng office, bibili siya ng land, bibili siya ng building, and then it will extend its operation here. Sino ang ano nun? Sino ang magmaman? Sino mag-ooperate nun? Definitely, perhaps the key personnel would come from the United States, managers, but the ordinary labor will come here in the Philippines. And so there is an economic integration between the two. At dependent yung Facebook US kay Facebook Philippines, and that is called globalization of markets. Okay? And it is possible also na meron pa rin siyang branch sa ibang lugar, and so nagkakaroon ng interdependency yung dalawa on how to operate the business. So that is globalization of markets. Hindi lang sa labor, halimbawa, raw materials. Okay? So, halimbawa, may isang fashion industry in Europe, and then well-known sila for that industry ang Europe. Tapos, kailangan nila ng mga raw materials dito sa Pilipinas. And so, they would want to set up a factory here in the Philippines so that cheaper ang raw materials. And so, nagkakaroon sila ng, syempre, yung factory dito sa Pilipinas, ang mga tao doon, Pilipino rin. And so, the two countries, the Philippines and yung fashion industry in Europe, fashion company in Europe, will have a sort of interdependency ng dalawa. No? Dependent silang dalawa. Philippines will supply the raw materials, and then Europe is going to process it. Tapos i-operate niya yung negosyo dito sa Pilipinas. And that's it. There is a growing interdependency of two countries. Sometimes, it's not only two countries. Halimbawa, yung raw materials available in Japan, okay? And then yung because they have the technology. Tapos ito naman yung Pilipino naman, mura naman ang labor dito sa Philippines. Kaya partner din ng fashion industry sa Europe. And besides, maraming magagaling na mga fashionista dito sa Philippines. And so that is possible, and that is called globalization of market. Okay? So another concept in international business is called international trade. When you say international trade, there is exchange of products and services across national borders. I repeat, there is an exchange of products and services across national borders, and usually being done through exporting and importing. So that is another concept na you will encounter in international trade. And the word exporting, another concept also, means sale of products or services to customers located abroad from a base in a home country or a third country. Halimbawa, itong dalawang brand, matindi ang kompetensya nitong dalawang brand na to sa air transport industry. The Boeing and the Airbus, they export billions of commercial aircraft every year. So, yan. So, ano pa ba dito ang famous export? Philippines. No? Alam niyo ba yung abakan ng Pilipinas? Isa pa rin yan sa pinaka-effective na gagawing lubid na panghila ng barko. No? It's very strong, matibay siya, durable, and yun pa rin ang preferred ng karamihan pagdating sa industry ng barko. shipping industry. So maraming siyang gamit. And so from the mountains in the Philippines, they're going to we plant abaca, and then yung abaca, ginuguyot yun para maging fiber, and then it's being exported abroad, no? Uh, being bought or ini-import naman ito ng mga shipping industry na naka-base in other countries. So that's exporting. So the opposite of exporting is importing. Okay? Ang pinaka concrete example dan is we always all the time dependent tayo sa fuel, sa crude oil, right? So yung crude oil ini-import natin sa Middle East. Alright. So yung Middle East naman is doing international business kasi isa tayo sa mga buyers nila. No? They export, pero ang tawag sa atin when we buy products outside our country, and that is called importing. Okay? So sa international business, laging meron yan. Merong exporting, merong importing. So now you know the difference between exporting and importing. Merong another term, global sourcing. Okay? Tulad na nabanggit ko kanina, halimbawa yung labor, yung mga nurses dito sa atin, merong hospital industry doon sa US or in Italy, kailangan ng maraming nurses doon because of COVID, or in Japan. So we export. Sila naman ay nag-outsourcing. Hinahanap nila kung saan ang pinakamurang nurses. And it so happens sa Pilipinas, mura ang rate ng mga nurses. Kaya priority, aside from masyadong magaling mag-alaga ang inner talent ng mga Pilipino, magaling mag-alaga sila ng pasyente, ang rate pa nila mura. Kaya hindi man sila worldwide. No? Ini-import itong mga nurses ito. Okay? So, here, ang isa sa mga example is about Toyota. Toyota cars. No? Toyota imports many parts from China, no? When it manufacture cars in Japan. Tulad na din sinabi ko kanina, example, Toyota yan, dapat made in Japan yan, di ba? Pero, yung pala, no? Yung mga ibang parts ay imported ni Japan, Toyota, sa China. And that is a concept in international business. Global sourcing. You source out your materials, your labor, or technology from other countries because it is better to source out. It's cheaper to source out than to manufacture it themselves ng mga countries na yun. Okay? So, another concept in international trade is international investment. Pag nakita mo parang magkakapareho international business, investment din yan. Pero for the sake of clarity and distinction, when you say international investment, okay, international investment, this is about transfer of asset to another country or acquisition of asset in that country. So, yung asset ni Japan ay ilalagay niya dito sa Pilipinas, mga automotive, mga manufacturing plant dito sa Pilipinas, and that is called international investment. And when you acquire property, when a certain company acquires this property for the sake of business, that is international investment. A country from abroad willing to uh, occupy a certain piece of land to be used for business purposes here in the Philippines. So, gusto niya, halimbawa 7-Eleven, gustong magtayo ng mga malaking depot ng mga groceries, supermarket items. Kasi magpapa-franchise siya sa iba't ibang lugar dito sa Pilipinas. And so definitely, 7-Eleven would be needing warehouses. Tama ba? So warehouses. And that warehouse na ininvest ni 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven is from US, no? Ininvest niya dito, bumili siya ng warehouse that can be called foreign direct investment. The country outside trying to make business here in the Philippines, and then he acquired a certain asset or sort of building, okay, to become a warehouse or a depot of its product, then that is called foreign direct investment, and sometimes it is also called international investment. So another term for international investment would be foreign direct investment. Okay? So, yun. Isang bansa na nasa labas, bumili ng isang building dito for purposes or manufacturing plant. Nag-set up dito, binili niya ang lupa, set up siya ng building dito, and then that is called foreign direct investment. Ang kagandahan ng foreign direct investment, it generates employment on the locality. Sa Pilipinas, when someone, yung call center from US would want to put up a facility dito sa atin, then ang mga tao din doon, will be needing call center agents, and nagkataon ng Pilipinas is proficient sa English. Basta matrain mo lang yan, magagaling yan mag-English. So magiging running ang negosyo ng foreign company. And yung pagbili mismo, yung pagbili ng facility, pag-put up ng facility is considered a foreign direct investment. Yan ang hinahanap ng mga gobyerno natin, na sana tayo ay makakalap ng foreign direct investor. Why? Because it helps our economy. In fact, the controversial POGO, ganun ang concept ng POGO. The Chinese casino, no, na involved in online gambling. So, yun ang concept nila, no? The Philippines is hoping na itong POGO na to, itong mga casino ng mga Chinese, can somehow help the economy. Kasi kapag mayroong Chinese daw na facility, so magkakaroon ka ng mga Chinese visitors para dito maglaro. And then, siyempre, kailangan nung bumili ng mga personal needs nila, groceries and everything, and in a way that will help the economy. Kaya lang, it's another story sa POGO. No? It appears that it's not helping our society because of the increase in crime rate related to Chinese citizen. Anyway, so that's another story. But still, POGO is considered a foreign direct investment. Another concept is international portfolio investment. Portfolio, the word, international portfolio investment. This means that there is a passive ownership of foreign securities such as stocks and bonds in order to generate financial. So this means mga foreign stocks at mga bonds ito coming from the outside. Okay? And mayroong ownership ng mga stocks and bonds na foreign, and that is called international investment also. Kaya lang, para maging mas accurate, we call it international portfolio investment. Is that clear? So pag it concerns foreign stocks or bonds, and that is called international portfolio investment. Now, let's go to the flows of international business. Okay? So, ano ba? Paano ba ang ano ba yung mga trade? Okay, number one, international business, you see there na mayroong dalawang parang shall we say countries, no? And then they share their knowledge. Okay? Yung isang country, mayroon siyang knowledge about some services or products. And then, ini-introduce niyo dun sa isang country. And then, syempre, sasabihin ng country, okay, magkakaroon sila ng agreement na we will subscribe to your knowledge. Okay? Pero, kailangan, meron din naman kami mga produkto dito. Pwede nyo ba kaming tulungan para i-market naman itong produkto namin dito sa lugar ninyo? Okay? So, there will also be trading of services. Aside from exporting knowledge, trading of products, nag-trade din ng mga services. Okay? So, at meron din namang mga direct ang nag-i-invest. Okay? Bawa si Coca-Cola, medyo may Coca-Cola i-invest sa Pilipinas, and that is direct investment. Ang daming warehouse dito ng Coca-Cola. What's sad about that now is itong Honda Philippines. Yung Honda Philippines ay nagsara. Napakaganda sanang company from Japan. Pero the way things are running here in the country, it was a management decision of Honda Japan to pull out its investment dito sa atin. So, at ang resulta dyan is maraming taong mawawalan ng trabaho because dito na nagmamanufacture ng car ang Honda. And when you say manufacturing, it means na maraming mga employed na Pilipino. Now, Honda decided to pull out its operation dito sa Pilipinas, and naturally, yung mga factory workers, including yung mga ahente, mga dealers ng cars, ay maapektuhan because of that management decision. So, yan ang flows of international business. Ano-ano ang mga nag-flow? Knowledge, going from one country to another, and then they trade their products and services, and also if it is a good management decision, that company from the outside will invest directly, will acquire properties, warehouses, and everything to operate in that country. That is if they find out the project to be profitable. Okay? So take a look at this. World trade. World trade is growing faster than GDP. Tingnan natin. World exports here in 1979, yung kulay blue, the blue line represent the exports. And then the world gross domestic product, nagpapare-pareho lang in 1979. Then, in around 10 years, 1989, 10 taon. Look, dati, ganyan lang siya. And then, yung world exports, tumaas, tumaas sa 1,000 level, okay? Yung world export. And yung GDP ng bansa, nasa ilalim. Okay? So, another 10 years. Okay. In 10 years time, masyado nang malaki ang gap ng export kaysa sa world GDP, gross domestic product. Now, when you say world GDP, this is the compilation of GDP all over the world. Domestic product lang yan. No? Pero ang export is becoming wider ang gap. Tumataas na maigi ang export. Nasa 2,000 level na siya. And another 10 years, grabe ang tinaas ng world export. And what do we mean by that? What is the meaning of this graph? Meaning, ang trend ngayon talaga is exporting your product. Countries are internationalizing their business operation. So kaya ayan, napakataas. In 2009, lalo na ngayon. But I don't have the latest data now. Pero just look at the trend, going back in 1979, di siguro 1980. So, yeah. The blue one, medyo lagi siya nakaangat compared to the gross domestic product. And then, another 10 years, lumaki. And in 2009, grabe ang gap. No? The world export reached around near 6,000 level, samantalang itong domestic products ng buong mundo ay only 2,000 level. So, ang ibig sabihin niyan, okay, take note, ang ibig sabihin niyan, masyadong active ang international business natin. So, you get that? Kuha niyo po ba? Okay, let's see. Yeah. We'll skip that one. Ito na. Let's take a look at the difference between international and domestic business. Paano sila nagkaiba? Number one, ang international business, siyempre, in terms of location, it's conducted across, sa labas, no? Nakatawid na ng national borders, kaya across. And then, it uses distinctive business method. It is also in contact with countries that differ in terms of culture, language, political system, legal system, economic situation, infrastructure, and other factors. Madaming i-consider ang isang company na engaged in international business. No? Sabi ko, yung kultura nila ng kung saan where you're going to transact your business, the country that you're going to transact with, even the language, there is some sort of language barrier. Halimbawa, sa Japan, kailangan ang manual mo, siyempre, Japanese. You have to consider that. No? The contract is stated in Japanese language. Okay? The political system, grabe to. If you're transacting in China, you have to consider the culture and the political system and even the legal system and the economic situation. Kaya kayo, guys, gagawa kayo ng parang entry plan ng that's your final requirement na mention ko na yun sa inyo. Gagawa kayo ng entry plan para sort of marketing plan pero international ang dating to penetrate, halimbawa, Japan market with your local product na naisip. So anong gagawin mo? You have to consider all this: culture, language, political, legal, infrastructure, and other factors na pwede mo pang maisip na makaka-apekto sa negosyo. Okay? So that's international business. Stated differently, when they venture abroad, firms encounter 4 major risks. So, 4 major risks. Pag ikaw ay nag-venture ka ng international business, you will definitely encounter these 4 major risks. At yan ay i-discuss ko in part 3 of this chapter, which is called International Business. So for now, this is me, Ren Sabala, saying good day at mag-aral po kayo mabuti. Bye-bye. Close ko na po. Stop share. That's